namely just looking a bit more into R. I have this single R slide sort of summarizing the features of R before we jump into R. We have the normal distribution, we have the uniform distribution, we have the L norm, the log normal distribution. We also have the exponential. I'm going to take that next time. These are the continuous distributions that we'll use, at least in the beginning of the course. We have density function, we have probability function, we have the quantile function, that's the inverse P, and we also have R for random number generation. Let us have a look one more time. It's uniform. Did I show you? Actually, yeah, it's just to show you. Yet we have the PL norm is there, and the uniform I haven't even. Yeah, there the P uniform is there also. So we can use the P uni for exactly like. Should we try to do? This is not what I asked. P unif. That's difficult for me now. Actually, 30 minus P unif 20. And these are then uniform distributions between 0 and 30. Between 0 and 30. That was the question I asked you. If I have a 30-minute slot where you all come uniformly, then I take, what is the chance that you come during the last 10 minutes? That's 1/3. Actually, of course, let me just, I put in this number, of course. What is this number? What is the chance of arriving less than 30 minutes in a 0 to 30 minute slot? It's 1, obviously. It's the right. It was the right-hand side of the distribution. So the same number, I could, of course, have said, what is the chance of arriving beyond this the 20 minutes point in the 30 minutes slot there? Finally, let's solve the question. I've seen not many of you made a shot here. I did a small question regarding geniuses in Denmark. If we follow the website that I gave you, follow their definition of everything, on average our IQ scores are 100. We have a standard deviation in a population of 15, which is 95% of us is between 70 and 130. The high genius definition, as according to their wording of the things, was 165. That's a pretty high one. They said Einstein, they say, had a 160 something. But then again, I don't think Einstein was particularly intelligent, was he? Or was he? 160 is pretty good, though. If you believe that these numbers make any sense, you may not believe that. Anyway, if you believe that they do make sense, how many Danish people do we have above 165? Did we have any? We had 3 guessing 40 and none else. So 40 Danes with this number. We go for a mean of 100, a standard deviation of 15. We could plot them. I skipped the plotting. I'll share this with you as when I hit my office. Let's try this one. How many do we have to the right of 165 with a mean of 100 and a standard deviation of 15? I put that into the p-norm function. I say 1 minus to get those to the right of 165, not to the left. I multiply, let's see if I have enough zeros here, 5 by 5, 5.5 million. That's approximately how many we are. 40. You answered correctly. The many of you answering my little test here. I was just for you as a take-home thing before the guy, Helmut Nyborg, I mentioned him. He was in the media. He has been in the media repeatedly. He was the guy claiming that he found the gender difference in intelligence. Do you remember that? He claimed that females were less. I should be careful how I phrase this. He claimed that females had, on average, a lower intelligence than males. And that created a lot of fuss, and he got fired, and he got back in. He was and many things. And a lot of it boiled down to a statistical discussion of how you could interpret some of these results. It's a quite technical report on that, actually. But anyway, I just like to show you. This is the type of argument of Helmut Nüber, I think you could say it's not a big discussion that you can find differences in certain different test techniques between genders, between other types of people. The big disagreement comes, how can you explain that? Is it something due to genetic causes, or is it something else? That's the key disagreement, and where it gets really sensitive. Let's just play around with the thought that we had a group of people, half of the people, I'm not saying which half, I'm just saying let's play with the thought that half of the people in Denmark had an intelligence average which was 5 higher than the other half. Right? We say, what does that mean? It's a huge overlap anyway. What does that really mean? How many extreme geniuses would we have in each of those two groups? That's the argument of Helmut Nüber. That's the consequence of a small average difference, which on an individual basis doesn't mean any. It's like even on our height and weight, where we know there's a major difference between genders in Denmark. There's a huge overlap, so it doesn't really matter much for the individual, I say. But a small average difference like this, if you go to the right tail, has a consequence of how many do we have of the real high intelligent people. And I guess that's when things starts to heat up in the discussion. And if you want to go for thinking about whether it really makes sense, anyway, some of his previous results was that smaller people had low intelligence than taller people. What type of stupid research would that be? So anyway, enjoy it out there, and see you next week.